Ben Franklin Elementary School here in Bethel Park.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time and coming and helping us get our community garden all together. But what I'd like to find out for you, or from you, is what can you tell us about Grow Pittsburgh? Can you tell us anything about the history, how we got started, and what brings you to an edible schoolyard type of program? So,
Sure.
Tell us what's going on with you.
Okay, thanks. First of all, yeah, it's great to be here. I visit plenty of different schools, and the welcome that I've received here is at the top of the list. I can tell that there's a lot of enthusiasm. Yeah,
Absolutely.
from the superintendent to the principals. So Grow Pittsburgh is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to teach people how to grow food and to promote the benefits that gardens bring to our neighborhoods. And so that's it in a nutshell, and we do that through many different ways. We have community gardens that we help support. We have some just general education classes. We have some production gardens, and then we have a program called Edible Schoolyard Pittsburgh, which is our elementary school gardening program, and that's been happening for 8 years. And so, let's see, do you want to know more about the history? Or?
Yeah, I mean, well, ultimately here we're interested in the Edible Schoolyard program itself. So were you instrumental in putting that program together? Have you been with Grow Pittsburgh this long?
No, so 8 years ago it started, and the idea, it spurs from the original Edible Schoolyard in Berkeley, which was from Alice Waters started this program.
Okay.
And there was a principal at an elementary school in Highland Park called Pittsburgh Dilworth, and he had been to Berkeley, California, and he said, you know, we need something like this in Pittsburgh, something that's bringing the students outside, that's connecting them, engaging them with hands-on activities that's related to the school, related to the cafeteria, inspiring students to engage with their community members, to eat healthy food. And so he said, I want to bring this here, and he recognized that there's a new nonprofit called Grow Pittsburgh that was started by a couple of urban farmers who had just been continuing to get questions from the community saying, how do I grow this, or what should I do with this lot? And they said, oh, we should start a nonprofit called Grow Pittsburgh. And so it was pretty organic, probably fittingly, that we started. And then programs began really out of interest and interest and need from the community. So in this particular case, it came from a principal that came to us and said, we want to have a similar program. And so I wasn't there at that time, but we built a garden on that school site, and then started 2 school gardens that year. And then since then I've continued to grow and grow, but we're constantly learning from school gardens across the nation.
Well, what's your background?
My background, I grew up in Pittsburgh,
okay.
And in the east end of Pittsburgh, and I didn't have really any connection to the outdoors besides the soccer field, maybe.
Okay.
But then as I grew up, I went to school in Washington, and I started feeling more and more connected to the natural world. I started leading programs in agriculture and outdoor education, experiential education, but they were all outside of Pittsburgh. And then I thought to myself, I want to come back to Pittsburgh, and so I came back to teach in the classroom, thinking that was the easiest way to be in Pittsburgh. And then I learned about Grow Pittsburgh, and then much of this work is happening here. And so then I went from kind of the outdoor education, urban agriculture education, to the classroom, and then back to Grow Pittsburgh, which kind of mends both of those things.
Nice.
So I love the job.
Well, how many gardens are you actually, or how many school districts are you actually participating in right now?
So we began just in the city of Pittsburgh, and we have 6 schools in the city. And then this is really our first year starting to work with an affiliate school program where we're working with districts outside of the city. And so we've taken on 4 schools in a more significant way this year outside of the city. And then we support any number, an additional probably dozen schools through talks and sharing information. Our website is one way that we want to, at this point, it's just a question of our capacity, our staffing.
Mm-hmm.
So we've created this website where we're sharing all of our lesson plans, where we're sharing all the information that we've, it's the challenges that we've had. We've spent 8 years making mistakes, in making the raised beds to, engaging the kids. We're running for other schools not to make the same mistakes, so we're sharing all that information.
Well, what do you, if you had a couple of big pieces of advice for us here at Ben Franklin, what are the biggest pitfalls that we should be trying to avoid?
You know, I think the most important thing is to make sure that you have a team of people that are engaged and involved in this process. And so making sure that, you know, it sounds like community members, parents, teachers, and then students at the forefront. Sometimes we're worried. Sometimes we think that students, you know, young kids, can't really engage in this work. At our schools, all of our lessons are based on the activities that need to be done in the garden, so that all of the students feel, you know, pride and ownership over the process. So I would encourage you to, you know, to bring all the students out when you're needing to plant or till, or you know, to some degree, any student can get involved. And so I think that's, you know, that's as much a really important thing. And the other key point that I like to mention a lot is that don't be afraid to make mistakes, and it's okay if, you know, that we're learning every year, and so much of it is our annual vegetables. And so we'll have a season, you know, and if the, you know, the watermelon doesn't grow,
Excuse me.
Yeah, so if the watermelon doesn't grow this year, then you can figure out maybe, you know, what amendments you need to add to the soil for next year, and that's okay.
Well, again, thank you, and our thanks to Jolie, the director, and Kate, and the rest of the staff down there at Grow Pittsburgh. We're thrilled to have you part of our garden.
Well, we're certainly happy to support.
Thank you.
We'll be here. So I learned a little bit about the garden. At Grow Pittsburgh, our mission is to teach people how to grow food and to promote the benefits that gardens bring to our neighborhoods. And so I think if we went around the room, probably everyone could identify a different benefit that this community garden is going to bring. So throughout this, I think we'll talk more about that. So we have a lot of programs at Grow Pittsburgh, and I also have to say that we don't do anything without Andy as well, and he supplies so much support and expertise, and just goes above and beyond to help us start community gardens. We have some production sites in the region, and then our edible schoolyard program is the school gardening program. And so I mentioned for 8 years we've been working really intensively at 6 schools where we're teaching classes every week. Every week, and we're maintaining the gardens. But there's also other schools that we kind of just consult with to share our best practices. So I like to start by saying that, you know, this isn't a new idea. Yeah, we've been doing it for 8 years, but gardening and school gardening has been happening for many, many years. So here's a picture. I don't know if you can see it that well, but this is 1917 at Dilworth Elementary School in Highland Park. And it's good to remember that, you know, our neighbors and our friends and our families and our history, we all, you know, there's just so much experience with agriculture. So I'm sure that you could all teach me something about growing food and the student, and I, you know, likewise. So here's a picture at Dilworth Elementary, and then here is a picture in 2013 at the same school. And this is one of the schools that we've been working with for the past 8 years. Okay.
Just give me a nod.
Okay, I'll just give you a nod. Down or across, over, right. You got it. So here's the image that I like to think about when we're thinking about, you know, successful school gardening and community gardening programs. And at the very end is this beautiful apple, this fruitful experience. But so let's go in there. And so I think a lot about how connected our students are right now. And in many ways that's great. So they're plugged in. They have cell phones, and they have computer games, and they have you know, the internet, and we're all really connected right now. And at the same time, I also feel like sometimes we're disconnected. I don't know if that resonates for you, but we're disconnected from where our food comes from. We're disconnected sometimes from the land and from our health and ourselves and our communities as we're focused so often in our computers and things. So school gardening is one way that I find when I think about in community gardening, I think about connecting us back to working together, having kids work together towards a common goal, connecting to our food and eating healthy. So we've come up with, through school gardening, I think you can hit it here, our main student outcomes. And so I'd encourage, will all of you be getting out there at some point with your students?
That's the plan.
Okay, great. So I'd encourage you to think about what it is that you wanna, what it is that you wanna see with your students, because you could reach any one of these benefits or outcomes. So promoting healthy lifestyles, we're being physical. I didn't like vegetables. My son doesn't like vegetables unless he picks it directly from the plant. And so this process of actually growing and watching something grow and then harvesting and eating it, it's amazing to see students love to eat food. So that's obviously healthy foods. Enhancing academic achievement, there are just so many different ways to connect your content area into the work that we're doing. And so I'll say that we have 72 lesson plans that are online to share, and they're all connected to the science, PA state science standards, but other areas certainly can be connected. Engaging in the school community, feeling connected, encouraging environmental stewardship. Students don't want to see trash on the ground when they've been caring for the area so much, and so that's really powerful. And the last one is instilling a sense of wonder in the natural world, and just the excitement and fun and enthusiasm that we have. So are there any other ideas that you have for outcomes or things that you want to see based on this, or is there one of these that kind of really stands out for you for your project?
Well, fourth grade, they've already planted their lettuce.
Okay, great.
So they're already on the way. They did that last week. And so the rest of the classrooms have not. We did have a question, will the seeds, if we plant them today, last over the Easter break until we come back on Tuesday?
That's a good question. Yeah, and the nice thing is they may just not germinate as quickly.
Okay.
So the seeds that you plant now, they need to be moist to germinate. So and it's not supposed to rain over the next 4 days. So they'll basically just sit there, and then once you get back and they're able to water, then they'll kick into action. So it would be more worrisome if they were just little seedlings up, and then they could maybe all the heat and sun without water might be more of a problem. So I wouldn't worry about it. I just emailed everybody in our schools telling them make sure you water as much as you can today, because I know it's going to be a dry weekend. But yeah. Okay, let's keep moving along.
I think your point too was the objective, and part of our objective is having our community and school work together
Okay, great.
on a really great project, just bringing everyone together. And I think that's really our main objective.
Okay,
the
great.
vegetables and the children learning about all the seedlings and what is in byproduct, that objective
Okay.
really is the main thing. So bring our community in and for us to go out to the community.
Great. That's great. I mean, I think so often people ask like, have you always been into food or agriculture or environmental education? And all those things are true, but really what brings me to this work is the people. And so that's great that you're kind of identifying it. It's about the people and community more than anything, and this is a vehicle towards that. So I think we'll just kind of cruise through. I wanted to give you a couple examples of activities that you could do out there once things are planted, in addition to just planting. So if you keep going, we're going to go pretty quickly, so I'll just point. These are the roots, and I think Andy and everybody at Evie are gonna kind of take care of a lot of these. So the land, Mrs. Ford has taken care of the land, the Ford family, and the soil looks like it's taken care of. The plants and seeds are taken care of. So this is a huge hurdle. These roots for most schools and communities, this is a big barrier, but these I think are taken care of. The money, it sounds like we're taking care of it. The expertise and knowledge is in this room, and we're, again, happy to help you with that. So we can just move on now. That's great. And then the people. So these are some of the main points, things that need to happen that we often don't think about who's going to do it. And so I put a lot of people around. You probably could have already done this, but we've got parents and volunteers, teachers, administrators, staff, students, neighbors, outside agencies, the YMCA maybe, Grow Pittsburgh. So these are the people that are kind of surrounding your garden. Summer garden care is a big one, and it sounds like you have neighbors that are going to be taken care of. So that's great. Garden lessons, who's going to be bringing the students out? Sounds like everybody. Fundraising. There are a lot of ways just to fundraise within the school. Maybe if you're starting seedlings to have a plant sale, or There are some organizations that can help you with that, or some programs. And I'm going to reference our website, but we have on our website we have a bunch of school gardening grants. So our website is www.edibleschoolyardpgh.org. And so on the end it says useful links, and so that's a good one. Okay, yeah, we can keep moving. So when we think about a community garden program and linking with the school, we think about three main things. The first is the garden maintenance. So you can go. And then the second is like the student programming, how to bring students out. And so it sounds like each grade is going to come out and plant something different. And then the hope is that then they can keep coming back. So I came up with some what we call anytime activities that I would just encourage you, even if you don't have a green thumb, or even if you don't like getting dirty, or if your students don't like getting dirty, there are things that you can do in the garden with the community, and that are easy. So let's look at a few of those. Dig for worms, especially with the youngest populations. The worms help fertilize our soil. There are helpers. There are a lot of books. I don't know if I brought one that has to do with worms, but there are a lot of kids' books about worms and the value of worms. So sometimes we'll have like a little bed that's just not planted, so that the kindergartners can go and just dig and explore, while other people in the community are maybe doing more precision work. So that's one. Moving right along. Insect identification. I brought along some insect cards. Let's see, where did I put those? Yeah. So again on our website, on our resources, there are just a series of cards: beneficial insects and also the pests. And so they can kind of look around and try to find, it's like instilling the natural world. So you can print these out and laminate them, and then on the back it has all the information about the description, life cycle, habitat, all kinds of information about that particular insect. Maybe they could draw what they see or that kind of thing. Okay, and I can pass these around. 5 senses walk or scavenger hunt, just going around where they would have to, students would have to identify what do they smell, what do they see, what do they hear in the garden, and that can kind of just, again, build enthusiasm for the garden. And then oftentimes we're charting, if you're doing any type of mapping or charting lesson in the classroom, you can go out to the garden and chart that. Or maybe you're having a taste test, and they're having to interview members from the community and tasting the yellow beans versus the green beans, or the lettuce versus the radishes, and then they're charting who likes what the most. Draw and label parts of a plant are pretty self-explanatory, but again, links to activities. We love to do seed art. This is an activity where they're learning, that we're working on letters. So that the first letter of their name was written on here, and then they've just taken some seeds and you can put glue down, but in this case they didn't even put glue. They just put the seeds around the letter and then poured it back in. It was kind of a fun activity. And then seed saving is always a neat lesson as well. But sampling and taste testing is probably the top activity that I would recommend. Every time that we go into the garden, we have to try to have at least one tasting, even if it's just a small little thing, and then they can talk about what their feelings are about the food. And then the last one, and a lot of times if we're just focused on schools, people are thinking about, not talking about, forgetting that it's about the community and about bringing community members in. So some of the other activities that we've done are bringing like a guest chef, like a local chef from a restaurant, and having them here's a picture, do a demonstration where the students would harvest the tomatoes and then add that to the soup or the tomato sauce, and then everyone would eat it. We have family cooking night where families come in and everyone is involved in cooking with some of the fresh produce. Wake Up the Garden, where it's kind of like a work day with the community. There's so many different, we had a farmer's market tour and cooking show. So there are a lot of different ways to engage, but this is, as you all know, the most important thing. Okay, so I think, I guess one more, please. So now what? You're ready to start digging. We'll just, one more, I think. And I wanted to, again, highlight this website edibleschoolyardpgh.org. And so this is what it looks like when you come on. If you go to Grow, this has some ideas about growing, and particularly with kids. The Teach section has all of our lesson plans. It has suggested reading lists. So I brought some books on a few of these tables. Those are the adult, kind of about engaging kids in the garden. But that would give you a lot of information about teaching. It also has the insect cards and plant profile cards, cooking, and then there's a link at the bottom down here that has all the useful links that hopefully will be able to help you. But I'm really excited. I definitely want to come back and see all that you're doing. I think there's one last slide. And I say, give it. This is a quote that says, "Give children a chance to love the earth before we ask them to save it." And this could be kind of connected to anything, but clearly by bringing the students out into the community and connecting them with growing their food, there's any number of beautiful things that can happen. So I really appreciate you all committing to this. And I think that's it. And I'd love to take some questions if there are any. And otherwise, good luck. And enjoy your break.
Well, the big question was whether to plant or not to plant.
Today.
Today, right. That was, I think I heard that from several folks, because they didn't want our plants to not germinate and die.
Yeah.
And we said, we don't want that either, and
yeah.
so I thank you for that. It'll be interesting to see when we come back after Easter. Maybe we'll have little sprouts. What do you think?
What are you're planting lettuce?
We're planting, well, we've already planted
Oh,
lettuce.
no, radish.
Radishes, onions, cucumbers, and
Today?
carrots.
Right in the ground.
No, it's going to be in the peat pods in the classroom.
I see.
They're going to be in the peat pods today, tomorrow. There shouldn't be any issues with them coming back for Tuesday.
I see. No.
There'll be zero chance for them to germinate. So planting today, coming back Tuesday is absolutely.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. So you won't be sick. Don't expect this. Don't tell them you'll see anything. You probably won't see.
Tray, as opposed to a cardboard box, because what probably happens with water today in a cardboard box is the cardboard's going to absorb the water. So if you have something like a cookie tray or a cafeteria tray, you need a little extra water on the bottom.
Thank you. I think most of you have trays. If not, Joe was going to be delivering trays. You have your garden kits, right? With the seeds and the peat pots, again, thanks to Evie's hardware, thanks to Andy. And the soil. You should have bags of soil already in your room. After the assemblies, we're just asking, as soon as you leave there, it seems like the perfect opportunity to talk about plants and seeds and to begin planting right away. And I think BPTV is going to be around as well, filming a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we always say, particularly in relation to this, is that don't worry, just give it a shot. We've been doing this for many years, many times. The most experienced gardeners have failures, and particularly in this environment, it's great to if it doesn't come up, why did we can ask them why didn't it come up, and there are so many connections, and then we could try it again, and there's a lesson in that as well. So if you're hesitant, if you're thinking this is not my thing, if you could leave this, if there's anything I can leave you with, is just that. Give it a shot, and when you see the eyes of the students, the excitement that comes when they have planted a seed and see it coming up, it'll be all worthwhile. So.
Garden at home? Put your hand up. Fantastic. All right, now with me you may see some important new guests around. I'd like to introduce them to you. Now, you all are very important, so they're going to be watching your best behavior. But with us we have some grown-ups, and they're visiting, and so we want to introduce them. We have Mr. Andy Amrine. He's from Evie's Hardware. You may have seen him down there. Raise your hand if you know Mr. Amrine. Okay. Oh, they do. Okay. Also in the audience with us, we have Mrs. Rule. She's a school board member. Do you remember you met Mrs. Rose? Well, Mrs. Rule is even Mrs. Rose's boss. So she's really, really important with us today. We also have a community member who we are so grateful for. Her land she's donating for us to plant plants on. It's Mrs. Ford. Mrs. Ford, fantastic, and we are so lucky to have her with us because she's going to give us land to have our garden, and she's going to help us with it even in the summer. She is, and her family members are, neighbors, and her family is with us. We have Kelly and Mom with us too, so we welcome you. Now you might be wondering, who's the guy up front with you, Dr. Dickinson, right? Is that what you've been thinking? See, I thought you might be. This is Jake Saltman, and he is from Grow Pittsburgh, because we're going to have our garden grow. He's going to tell you a little bit about an organization called Grow Pittsburgh. Jake.
Okay, thank you very much. Wow, this is great to be here. I can't believe all of your eyes are up here and you're listening. You know what that's telling me? It's telling me that you're ready. You're ready to go out there and plant. You're ready to learn a little bit. You're ready to share a little bit with me today. So that's great. My name is, well, some people call me Mr. Jake, but most people like to call me Farmer Jake. And you know why that is? Because I just love to grow food. And I go to schools all over this region, and I get to go outside with students like you, or talk to students like you, and talk about growing vegetable gardens in the community and at the school. So I am just, this is what I love to do, and so I'm really grateful to be here. But I want to make sure that I can hear from all of you today as well. So can you just raise your hand if you think you might be interested in participating a little bit, maybe answering some questions? Okay, so that's great. That's what I like to hear. Okay, so today we're going to talk about gardening, and I know it's kind of like for some of you, you've been doing it at home, maybe it's the first time you're doing it here, but I'm going to have some questions. So I'm going to be calling on students who are raising their hand and have been looking and paying attention just like you're all doing right now. Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay, just to get a sense of it, can you pretend like you're eating eating a strawberry, if you're excited about gardening and eating that food? Okay, and if you think you would be willing to take care of the garden and to help plants, maybe you can pretend like you're shoveling to show me that you're excited about that too. Okay, great. My question, and we can move along the slideshow a little bit, and the next one too. My first question to you is, why are you so excited? Why is going to the community garden and gardening, growing vegetables and fruit with our school and community, why would that be so important? Okay, thank you very much. What's your name?
My name is
Tessa?
Tessa.
Tessa.
I like it because it's fun and I do it and
Okay, Tessa says it would be good to have a vegetable garden, a community garden, because it's fun, and people, like in her experience, people come up to the garden and say it's so beautiful. So if you do a community garden and a school garden, then the community member is going to be coming up and kind of supporting you, and it's going to be a lot of fun. If you agree with that, can you put your hand up? Okay, great. Oh, that's good. Okay, I think it's going to be fun too. So that's one. I would like to have 4. So if you have a different reason why you think growing vegetables in a community garden is a good idea, can you tell me? How about right there?
My name is Wilson.
Wilson?
It would be good because you could probably donate some of them to the food bank so other people can have some.
Wow, Wilson, that is great. I don't know if everyone heard what Wilson had to say, but he said that when we're growing so much food, maybe we'll grow so much that we can donate some to the food bank so that everyone can eat and be healthy and experience some of this. So that, sharing, that's a wonderful point. Thank you. Okay, let's go over here and one over here, and then we'll move on to another question. Okay, what do you think?
I think it's my name is Sarah, and I think it's fun because my grandma and my papa live on the country, and I help them with their garden, so I'm kind of used to growing vegetables.
Great. Sarah agrees with Tessa. It's fun, and we want it to be fun. I think everyone's going to find that. Okay, who has another reason why you think community gardening would be important? And
I think it because so we can survive.
So we can survive. What do you mean by that?
So the people that don't have any food can have food, and they can survive and we can survive.
Okay, great. So, so we're going to be healthy and survive and by growing our own food. These are great ideas. And I bet once you get to start your seed, what are we growing in this grade? Do you remember? Or does anyone know? What is it that we're going to plant? Oh, I love radishes. So you're gonna plant some radishes. They're gonna grow. They're gonna be all different, spicy or maybe not as mild radishes. And they're gonna be delicious, and you'll be able to be healthy. Okay, that's great. I wrote some other ideas down. We can just cruise through those pretty quickly. You get to eat fresh fruit and vegetables. You get to be outside and work in community and together. Keep them going. And then you also get to learn about science and connect with the land. Okay, so let's keep it going. Now, here's a question for all of you. I'm not going to call on anybody because I want everybody to answer the question. Are you with me? Are you paying attention? Okay, so I've got two options. And these are options for your garden, this community garden that you're going to be involved in. And in the summertime, this is like, pretend like you're in the summertime. Or maybe you just got back to school in September, and your garden is either one looking like this, or it's looking like this. Now the question I have for you is, which picture is going to represent what you want your garden to look like? And the way you're going to tell me is by pointing to one of these two options. Okay, on the count of 3, everyone's going to either say, I want my garden, not say it, point by saying, I want my garden to look like this, or like this, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
I want my garden to look like this.
Oh, that is looking good. That was what I want your garden to look like this too. That's great. Okay. So that is the beautiful garden. And then this one? Not as good. It's got all dried out. No one's been watering it. No one's been caring for it. Those plants are not very happy. Okay? So what we have to figure out is, how are we going to make our garden look like that? And so the question is needs of a plant. Now, I was talking to the last group about their little siblings and their little cousins and their little babies. Can you pretend like you're rocking a baby? If you have a little cousin or a little baby or a little neighbor, somebody that you see. Okay, good. So you have some experience. And I know those little babies, they need a lot of things, right? They need their bottle. They need to be rocked. Maybe you sing to them. They need to nap all the time, change their diapers. So maybe you don't do that. But plants also need to be cared for in a similar way. So you all are going to care for the plants. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Now is where we're going to get a little bit active. So if you raise your hand and you answer a question, I'm going to have you stand up here. So if you think you're ready to do that, just know that you're going to be making a line up here and maybe even doing some different actions. Okay, so the question, the challenge, the final challenge for the 3rd grade class. Now the 4th graders needed a little bit of help with this. So we'll see how this group does. The question is, what does a plant need in order to survive and thrive and look so beautiful? Okay, what do you think? Water. That is correct. Come on up. What's your name? Jason said water. That's a good answer. Jason, you want to come up? Okay. Do you agree with him? Yeah. Okay, Jason, why don't you stand right over here and hold this water. The plant definitely needs water. It could come from the rain or it might come from a water bottle. Okay, how about over there? What else does it need?
Sunlight.
Can you point to the sun if you think that it needs sunlight? That is correct. Come on up. Sunlight. What's your name? Aubrey said sunlight, and you said Jason? Oh, you said water. Yeah, Jason said water. Okay, so we got water, sunlight. We have 4 more. Okay, what do you think? Soil. Point to the beautiful pretend soil down below if you think it's soil is something they need. Definitely. And can you tell me why? What does soil do? Do you know? Anybody can help them? Why is soil so important? Good. Okay, great. Soil, you need it'll hold the roots, and the roots are can hold the water, and it also provides nutrients and food for the plants. What's your name? Okay, DJ said soil, so we got a picture of soil. Maybe can you move down just a little bit, right to the edge, right there. Oh, I don't want you to trip, right there. So we're going to need room for 3 more people, and they're getting harder. We've got water, we got sun, we've got soil. We need something else. What else? Special plant food. That is pretty good. What kind of ideas do you have for special plant food? That's a good question. Yeah, special plant food is kind of like soil, the nutrients that you need. You can also add kind of like fertilizers. So that's kind of in the soil. So we're going to say that our soil is so healthy because we've added compost and things that that's good. That's good. Sometimes we have to add special plant soil. Let me hear from somebody that I haven't heard from, all the way in the back in the purple shirt. You could use a pot. It does, or in the ground. Those are good. Those are good. So with that pot, do you think you could put 10 different plants in a tiny little pot, or do you need how much? What does it need? Okay. Let me get a little bit closer with you. I have an example of something that we all need, and plants need it too. Okay, I think this is gonna be because you're kind of getting at it. Let's say, how many people have siblings? Okay, raise your hand if you have more than 3 siblings. Okay, great. Let's say you have 4 siblings, brothers and sisters, and you all lived in a little apartment the size of this square foot right here. And you had to eat and sleep, and everything was in that tiny little apartment. That wouldn't be so good because you need a little bit more space. Come on up. Space for that. If you put it in a pot, you need that pot to be big enough for the roots to grow. And you can't put lots of people in one tiny closet. And you can't put lots of tomato plants in one tiny pot. So we definitely need space. There's 2 more. The next one, we need it to live in order to breathe. What is it that what else do we need? It says, call me an agent. Or call me agent. I'll call you agent, or should I just ask you?
Is it call my agent?
Okay. I'll call your agent after you answer.
You need like oxygen.
Oxygen or air. Come on up. What's your name?
McKenna.
McKenna. Great. Okay. She said air. Now, this is great. This is great. We've got one more, and this one has to do with something that we can all provide. It's not, it just doesn't happen right away, because if we don't provide this, then it might look like that picture on the right side. Okay, what do you think? Care and love. What's your name? David? David, come on up. We've got care and love. That's what we need. So who can tell me one way that we could care and love our plants? Watering it. Great. Anything else? Let me hear somebody else. Water them every day. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, now, do you feel like you can remember all these? It's going to be hard, so I think I can help you a little bit. Because when I try to remember things, like spelling bees or for tests or things, I like to come up with kind of ways to remember. So, we're going to all come up with a way to remember all these. We've got water, sun, soil, space, air, love. And we're going to all need to remember these. So, we're going to come up with a little action to represent each of these. So if you're up here, think about what you could do to represent, it could be anything, to represent your emotion. And then everybody sitting down, we're all going to do it to try to remember all the things that the plant needs in order to survive and do well. Does that sound good? If you think you're ready and excited to do this, can you just tap your head for me? Okay, I'm seeing most people ready. Okay, what do you think? What's our motion for water? Great. Pour water. So everyone take your watering can and pour the water. So we're going to need water. The plants definitely need water. That's our first one. What's our second one? Oh, that is nice. Sunlight. Put your hands up. So we need water. We need water. And we need sunlight. Okay, that's good. These plants, I can tell these plants are going to be healthy. How are we going to represent soil? It's okay, you got an idea. What do you think? What could you do? Digging in the soil. That's great. Digging in the soil. Okay, I'm seeing most everybody do it. Do you think you can remember all of them? So far we have water, we have sunlight, soil, water, sunlight, soil, water, sunlight, soil. Okay, we got 3 more. Don't forget those. We're going to do 3 more. Air, what do you think? Space, I'm sorry. Space. Give yourself some space without hurting anyone. Okay, space. We definitely need space. And all of us need space so that our roots, we're not competing over the water, so that we're not competing over that special food or the nutrients in the soil. Air. Air. Ooh. We need space. And air. Okay, one last one. What can we do for love? Okay, is that a good one for love? That shows that you care, that you love these plants and this community and this garden, and that you're going to be involved in caring for all of the plants and for each other. Does that sound good? Okay, now I'm going to go slowly one time with all of you, and then we're going to speed it up. So I appreciate everyone's eyes are up here, because I can tell this 3rd grade class is going to have these motions perfect, and if you have the motions perfect, it's going to show me that you're going to be able to take care of these plants. Does that sound good? Okay. And then if you're up in the front, you're going to be leading, so you're going to make sure you're really showing us how to do it. Ready? Water, sunlight, soil, space, air, love. Water, sunlight, soil, space, air, love. Okay, excellent. Give yourselves a round of applause. Okay, that is great. That is great. I have a good feeling. I go to a lot of different schools, and I see a lot of students, but I can tell that this group of students is going to grow some radishes, plant those radishes, and have a really successful community garden. And so I really appreciate all of your enthusiasm and your excitement for this project. I'm going to come back and check on it. So I want to make sure that you stay true to your word. And if I don't know, do we have a second for questions?
We do, yeah.
So if there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them. Yeah?
How do you know how to take care of the plants?
That's a good question. How do you know how to take care of your plants? And the truth is, every plant needs a little something different. So we start by making sure that you have these six main things covered, making sure it gets sunlight and water. But then you have to also read about it. And on the seed packets that you're going to be planting, or if you're asking maybe your teacher, it'll say how much space it needs, or how normally how much space it would need, or how deep to plant the seeds. So those are some important things. And then a lot of times you just have to check the soil to see if it needs more water. Just like if you were taking care of a little baby, you kind of have to try to observe and figure out. But you live and learn. It's a hard question. I think you can do it.
Is it not air just stuff in there like carbon dioxide or something?
Yeah, it is. And then so air is deep. You need the carbon dioxide. The air also needs to be in the soil. Why do you think the air would need to be in the soil? Why couldn't the soil be clay, just like really thick clay like it normally is here? Why do we have to aerate the soil or add nutrients into the soil? The water, we need space for the water to come through. You need space for the roots to come through. So you need air both outside the carbon dioxide and the soil as well. Air in the soil. Do you have a question?
My nickname is Jay.
That's my nickname. Nice to meet you. Did they call you Farmer Jake?
No.
Oh, they call me Farmer Jake. Okay. All right, maybe one more. Let me hear it. Go. That is a great question. If you have a pet, how do you keep? Usually, the nice thing is most pets don't like to eat the garden vegetables that much. Your dogs like them? Uh-oh. Well, I've got a couple answers, but I bet you have some answers. What do you think? If you have a dog that loves radishes and tomatoes, what could you do to keep them from coming? I haven't heard from you yet. A fence is probably the best. That's a great one. Fence. Okay, that's one option. What else? Let me hear from somebody. Yeah. Any other ideas? raised bed would keep them out. Yeah, so you could make a fence, you could put a raised bed, or a lot of times we plant things around the outside of the bed that they don't want to eat. So maybe you can put nasturtium flower, marigolds that have like a spicy flower that they don't want to eat. They come up to it and they think, oh, this is a bed full of spicy flowers. I don't want this. Meanwhile, there's a beautiful watermelon in the middle, but they don't know. And so you could do that with onions or chives or spicy things around the outside. That's something you could try. Fencing, great. I love the enthusiasm. Let's hear one more. Yeah.
You could also keep the dog inside.
You could keep your dog inside, but you probably couldn't keep your garden inside. So, but it's good. The other thing is we have rabbits in our yard a lot, and it's okay to share sometimes. Okay. Well, thank you all.